Good evening. It's Marc Lowe in Tokyo, and tonight I'd like to do essentially a follow-up to my talk of January 31st about the angel of death. And I mentioned in that talk that I was planning or had been planning on doing a follow-up, a sort of response to that album, which was originally recorded way back in 2017. It was my first sort of full concept album. Recorded in Logic. I actually had recorded other things that were conceptual. I tend to be interested in storytelling before I was doing music on my own the way that I do it now. And before my bands in Fukuoka even, I had studied creative writing at Brown University, and that's because I was writing fiction at the time. It's no secret that one of my favorite albums by one of my favorite artists, David Bowie, is Outside from 1995, which is a concept album. I also very much like Diamond Dogs, and so this kind of thing. And I loved The Wall when I was in elementary school. Actually, I discovered Pink Floyd's The Wall, and later saw the movie as well. So, but Angel of Death, like Outside in a sense, is a kind of loosely conceived or constructed concept album. It's not a story that takes us from point A to point B or Z or whatever. It doesn't have a full cast of characters. I mentioned this in the talk on January 31st. I did a follow-up. It wasn't a follow-up, but I did another album in the summer of 2018, the following year, after I had had more actually experience in Logic and doing electronic music in Logic with the keyboard and so on, and sampling and so on, called Detective. And that had a kind of cast of characters and a kind of linear plot, although it's a little bit open-ended in a way. But it did have a kind of a linear plot, comparatively speaking. Anyway, this is the follow-up talk to that, and I want to talk about not Angel of Death per se, which is the older 2017 and 2018 versions that I put on this page prior to the talk, but the angel, or angels, it's now plural, angels of time. And Angels of Time, actually, I have printouts because I was making CDs. This is the cover that I had created, and actually what I had done, for those of you who are really kind of paying attention to my page and watching this talk now, because perhaps you have some interest in this particular album or project, right? The Liar cover was this with the hands over the face and the blackened nails. That was the cover I'd used when I had remixed A Liar, which was the first phase of producing this year's version, which appears on the album. I'll talk about this. And there are kind of two images here. If you look closely, there's another face there. I used that for two things. Firstly, I used for Phantom when I did the remix of that, which actually does appear on this album in that remix version, but also Phantom 2024, which I did a video for. And also I used that same double face image, one with eyes closed, one looking up to the heavens or the sky or whatever, on the Ghosts in the Matrix, which was my 3-hour session on February 12th, from which I actually extracted the drums I used on Phantom. And the guitar I used on Phantom, and I actually went in with the intention of that. I just played the drums with the song in my head, more or less. I put guitar to it and several days or maybe a week later at home, I recorded the vocals for Phantom because the whole song had been laid out in a kind of slightly loose way. The back cover of the CD version, which you wouldn't see on YouTube, right? Because I make CDs sometimes for local people, has a still shot from a video I did both after Phantom and Only When I Tried to Find You, which was the first song I re-recorded for the new project, Angels of Time. I'm going to talk about all this. I'm going to go slowly. And actually in the second part of the video, I want to present the music this time in a different format. I want to do it in a way that I haven't done until now, which is to present just the audio with some image that I'll affix to it, and the lyrics to the original versions and then to the new versions, and particularly with Only When I Tried to Find You being the focus. That's the longer track, and it's the most radically different lyrically. Actually, A Liar is almost exactly the same. Phantom is slightly different, but Only When I Tried to Find You, which was 10 minutes in the original 2017 and 2018 versions. 2018 is it's a different arrangement, but the same vocals, same lyrics. And this year's version, which is 15 minutes, and both were improvised, but Only When I Tried to Find You, the first version, was improvised in the year 2017, when I was living in Fukuoka under completely different circumstances, and obviously this year's version was improvised here in this room. And the video, which I'll talk about in a bit as well, this is, like I say, a screenshot. The wearing the hat here, that's from the Only When I Tried to Find You video, and this part is from the Phantom video. So what we have here is Only When I Tried to Find You, Phantom, and combined was actually used for a video I did for the title track, Angels of Time, and in parentheses, Still Waiting. You're still waiting. So is the next, and the next, and then the next. I'll talk about that just a bit as well, and perhaps I might share the lyrics to that as well, because that piece is the way that I linked all of the pieces on the album that I hadn't re-recorded. So what I ended up doing on this album, essentially the three main tracks that I redid, the first was Only When I Tried to Find You, as I said, the longest track. I'll talk about that first. Then I redid A Liar, which I remixed first, and then I added a new vocal, and I did different arrangements with electric guitar added. One version has the original sort of remixed drums, beats, and the second version, version 2 on the album, is minus the beats, but it includes the new vocal and the new electric guitar part. And then Phantom came literally from the session on the 12th of February, which is why I connected that to the Ghost in the Matrix, which actually is it's just an improvised session with, I did 2 acoustic pieces, Bird, or Broken Wing, and North Star at the end there. When I mixed it, I put those in as full pieces as they were performed on that day in the studio, as well as some longer drum improvisations, 2 longer drum improvisations, both of which had the Phantom part in, and I think I used the second, I don't remember, it might have been the first, I think it was the second version, and then I put the Telecaster electric guitar to that in the studio, and I recorded the vocals at home later, and cut that part out of the full, drum piece, and added some backing elements also from the studio using my synths and noise makers, if you will. I thought it would be interesting because actually I was at a cafe today and I was listening to this, I was reading this. I've been reading this lately, and because I've been doing this and that and performing live. I haven't been reading it every day, or I would be finished by now. I'm a bit more than halfway through. I'm actually reading about the song Kingdom Come on side B. I just read about Scream Like a Baby. If you know the Scary Monsters album by David Bowie, this is going song by song and giving background information. And Silhouettes and Shadows, the title, and also the cover with the shadow. And I don't have the cover on hand right now, but if you look, actually I can edit it in. The David Bowie Scary Monsters cover, Bowie is dressed as a Pierrot, or a clown, and you see it's Silhouettes and Shadows, which is the opening line of It's No Game, which opens the album, which also I've covered, by the way. I've done my own version, plural, starting in 2022, I think I published the first version. I think I recorded it late 21 and published it in 2022 with new lyrics and Japanese lyrics as well. That original song by David Bowie has a Japanese part to it, with a kind of screaming vocals by a female singer. I'm trying to remember her name, which I do know, but it's not hitting me. And I redid that anyway, but I'm not meaning to talk about my versions of that right now. Anyway, the Silhouettes and Shadows is the opening line of the original song. My version actually has a different lyric, but that's not what I want to talk about. The visual, Bowie as this Pierrot, this clown, with the shadows on the kind of wall or in the background. This was not intentional, and I really, really honestly mean this. People are going to say, oh yeah, sure. I honestly mean this. When I did the Phantom video a few nights ago, it was last week, I wore my yukata, and here's another interesting Bowie connection. The yukata I wore, the blue yukata with the light blue with the darker blue patterns on it, which I'll show also. When I edit this here, I can show you that. Actually, I can also show it here. I'll show it, but I also wanted to show this because I created a cover using just this today. And you know, again, if you put this back to back with Scary Monsters, and again, I'll edit that in, you can see that it kind of looks similar, because Bowie's actually, his hand with the outfit is coming out and he's got a cigarette between his fingers, and I don't hear. And again, I wasn't trying to copy or anything. I wasn't thinking about it. This is actually a still shot from, I was moving, I was standing on my bed, I was against my wall, which is behind me right here, this white wall, which I had cleared off actually originally in order to do video projections, which I did earlier. I did late last year and then earlier this year. I filmed some of my Bowie tributes the eve of his birthday. We Miss You, Space Boy, and I also did Loving the Alien. I put projections on this wall, so I took all of my stuff off. I had a bunch of, you know, like these, stuck on the wall. So when I did the Phantom video, I had the idea to put some makeup on my face, because it's Phantom. And, you know, last year I did an acoustic version, and that I'm not doing anything like this. That was filmed at a local shrine. And then my face is only in it, I think, at one part where it's just, actually it was the photo, and I just edited in with some other flashing lights and stuff. But so this year, the Phantom is heavier, like the original version on the Angels, or rather Angel of Death from 2017. That was, as I talked about on January 31st, if you go back to that talk, I had done that song Phantom with my first band, Chattering Man, and it was a hard rock band. So Phantom, I wanted to do, you know, I painted my face, and I decided to wear the yukata. Now, going back to the Bowie connection, again, I wasn't really thinking of this per se, but that particular yukata, the blue one, was designed by Yamamoto Kansai, or Kansai Yamamoto in English. Yamamoto, the last name in Japanese, we put that first Yamamoto. Kansai Yamamoto. He designed Bowie's kimono for Ziggy Stardust and for Aladdin Sane, 72, 73. And this one, when I was in Fukuoka, I bought it at a used kimono shop that a friend had taken me to. We went together at the time. This is like 2015 or I think 2015 or something. I still had short hair, so it had to be 2014, 2015. Okay? It was before my band. And the owner was like, this is a Kansai Yamamoto, and showed me, and I was about, I've been a Bowie fan, I knew who that was, and anyway, it was reasonably priced. I bought it, so I've had it for years, and I decided to use it for Phantom, and I painted my face. And you can see exactly what I was doing, because you can see the shadows here made by my clothes on the wall. When I put this lamp on over here, it makes shadows, and when I filmed it, I actually lowered it, I dimmed it. It's got a 3 levels, so I could dim it like this, you see? So it was 1, 2, 3. I don't remember if it was 1 or 2, but I dimmed it a bit, and so there were shadows on the walls when I moved. And this, I think that's too bright now, I think it's number 2 is better. This shadow coming out with the yukata was produced by the light behind and my shadow on the wall, and I was moving. And if you watch the Phantom video, you can see it. And also if you watch the title track video, because I used the same footage in a different way. I thought it was kind of a waste to only use it for Phantom. Then I ended up getting the idea to combine it with the Only When I Tried to Find You footage and create a collage. So that actually, again, ties together the 2 videos I had done for the album, except for A Liar. And then that became Angels of Time, and I did other things with the video. I reversed it, I slowed it down, I used different effectors on it. So
Y'all still waiting.
that shadow was produced, and going back again to Bowie and to Scary Monsters, I was reading the book. In Phantom, the video, I show the book because I was reading it. It was lying there, and I just filmed it, and then I thought, oh, I'm gonna hold it up and have it on the bed and stuff. So there are shots of this book, which is the reference, obviously, in a way to Scary Monsters. And if you think about silhouettes and shadows, Phantom, and so on, it just linked, and that was not an intentional link. It just was one of those synchronic or synchronistic things.
I used to be human, felt something I used to be manifest. Became slow my sensations, fixed me from this world. There's nothing left of me.
Going back to the title track for just a moment, Angels of Time, starting with Waiting. At one point in there, I sing a line from It's No Game, Silhouettes and Shadows, Watch the Revolution, just the first 2 lines, because the book was lying right over there, and I was recording here, and my eye caught it, and so it came out of my mouth. That sometimes happens. So that's these weird connections between the new version and Scary Monsters, which weren't at all part of the original versions of any of the songs on that album, per se. I mean, I was a Bowie fan at that time, too. I was actually playing back the album, and then I had the idea to do this talk, and not only the talk, the first idea before even doing the talk was that I started just listening to the 2018 version of Only When I Tried to Find You. Again, remember, that was the first track that I re-recorded for this project. And I'll talk about why and how, because it wasn't my original plan at all. Only When I Tried to Find You. As I said, I was in the cafe today. I do remember what I was going to say. I was listening, and I got the idea, or I started to, actually, midway through the song, I started to write out the lyrics on my iPhone, just typing them in Notepad or whatever. They put flowers in your hair. They wanted to make you so fair. But only when I tried to find you could I see. And now there's nothing left of me. I think that's what it was. And then I thought, well, if I started writing these lyrics, I was going to just take this little quote, and then I had some ideas going through my head. Maybe I'd do something, I don't know. And they're so, different in a way from this year's version, but at the same time, they also connect in various ways. And I thought it would be interesting to do back-to-back, to play after this talk on this video, the audio. And again, I'm going to put some visuals on to make it interesting because I have some ideas for that. Also have an idea to use those visuals to make, again, a written piece with visuals in it, and or like, be nice. I mean, it would cost money, but I had this kind of crazy idea, like, if not an LP, a vinyl, like a CD with a fold out thing with, the photos in it, or a booklet with kind of images, lyrics, and story. So I'm getting ideas for this because this is a concept album that started again in 2017, was a concept album, Angel of Death, but now I've got this part and it's kind of changed, but at the same time there are various connections. This could and does in a way lead into a larger discussion, or could lead into a larger discussion eventually. I won't do it today here, about process and my process. And actually, in many ways, it connects to the way that David Bowie worked. It connects to also the way that one of my favorite authors worked. I'll just mention Kōbō Abe, and actually Kōbō Abe, now the 100-year centennial. I'm talking about, this is another topic, but it connects because I said that it connects to the way Bowie worked. Scary Monsters in particular was David Bowie kind of doing his best of the 70s, or that period kind of thing, right? He's kind of, he goes back to Space Oddity. He brings Major Tom back, Teenage Wildlife, lyrics to things that are kind of reaching back to the past and also bringing them into the present and looking toward the future. New Romanticism, music and this whole thing. So kind of, tipping the hat. And he does this, everyone talks about, right, I Can't Give Everything Away, that the harmonica on that comes from New Career in a New Town from Lowe, this kind of thing, right? Making those connections. And actually the videos too, like Black Star Video, they're doing this dance. It's kind of like creepy in Black Star when they're hopping and dancing around, the two men, but that's like fashion, right? Or, this kind of thing. Or like in China Girl, the smearing the lipstick at the end is like Boys Keep Swinging. Bowie has all these references dropped, and connecting his own sound and vision, both in the videos and in the songs and in the lyrics. I'm constantly doing that in my music. Getting back to Abe Kōbō, he did the same in his novels. My thesis, not dissertation, but my thesis as a master's student was on Abe Kōbō, Kōbō Abe in English. Abe Kōbō, again, we flipped the name. 3 novels I presented from 1973, 1977, and his last novel, 1991, last published novel. 1973 is Boxman Hako Toko, which I recently re-recorded and put a video on this page. It's his 100th year. He was born 1924. It's now 2024. In Tokyo, they're doing events for that. This is, again, going off topic, but kind of bringing it back to how it connects to process and my process, like Bowie, like Abe Kōbō, I'm saying, making these kind of interconnections between past work, present work, and what might be some future work, or in the future becomes, right, the work you do now becomes the work of the past, and then connecting it again. So I've been doing this quite a bit over time, and now I have a past, I have a history of music behind me, like this Angel of Death from 2017, 2018, and many others. And also songs that I've done in various arrangements. Boxman is another one. I wrote that in 2015 a cappella. I did it for the first time in my band, Glass Gecko, in 2016. There's a story behind that I've written about before, how unhappy I was with the arrangement, and the video is on YouTube under Glass Gecko. I was inside of a box singing because the arrangement was kind of like this hard rock, prog rock arrangement, and I had just started playing guitar, and it was a totally different part, and I was, whatever. But that's not the story I mean to tell right now, but Boxman went through various arrangements over the years, solo and then with Joe on bass. He had a very funky bass part to that. I did it with Laughing Moon on stage in 2020, Joe and Tana, guitarist, Tomoki, and various electronic solo versions, acoustic solo versions. This year I re-recorded. So in that way, I'm connecting the past with the present. I'm constantly rearranging things, but also this concept of Angel of Death. Now it becomes Angels of Time. Just to go back to what I said on January 31st, I said, if I do a new version, it will somehow be a response to the Angel of Death from 2017 and 18, but it will be different. And that's exactly right. So, but let me talk about only when I tried to find you. Very interesting how this came about. I was not planning again on starting with that track, but I had in my head that I wanted to start this project. I had had tons of grading. I think on the 31st, I was like, I have too much grading right now. I can't deal with it. I've got to grade. But I was taking a break from that to, I think I said, like, keep my sanity. So we had a snowy day in January, and it doesn't snow very frequently in Tokyo. It was snowing pretty hard, and it was cold, obviously, and I was in my room, and I thought, I'm just going to go out and bring my Suling flute. This is an Indonesian bamboo flute I've been playing. If you've been watching the channel live, I've been playing this live. I played when I went to Takao-san, the mountain, Takao, and played it beside the big Kannon statue, a Bodhisattva Buddha statue. This flute is a bamboo flute, much easier to play than the Japanese shakuhachi, but it has a sound kind of similar because it's made of bamboo. I don't want to play it too loud because it's nighttime. I don't usually play this in my apartment. So I grabbed the flute and I got my gloves and my jacket and my hat, which I lost the other day. All right, I left it on the train, interestingly. Very interesting, because I'm always losing hats, but that one I had held on to for a while, so there might be some reason behind that. But anyway, so I put that my hat on, my detective hat, yeah, my coat, brought the flute. I thought I'm gonna play the flute in the snow and just take a quick video. It was colder than I had expected, but I thought as I was walking, I had the iPhone, I just held it, and I thought I'm just gonna film myself walking. I have no idea what I'm gonna use this for. I'll use it for something. So I did. That became, right, if you watch the video, only when I tried to find you. And then I recorded 2 quick flute pieces. They were quick because I was freezing cold. My fingers were frozen to the bone. I put those on YouTube separately. And actually, the only one I tried to find you after I came home, wet and cold, my fingers were half frozen off. And I thought, well, I got the video. So I made this little video about, I took a walk in the snow today, and it was very cold, and I recorded this flute, and I made this little video from that. Then I started thinking about this project, and I had an idea that I didn't have much flute. There were short samples. I made very short pieces because it was cold, and I didn't have 5 or 10 or 15 minutes of flute, even though the track ended up being 15 minutes. So that flute that you hear on Only When I Tried to Find You, what I did was I slowed it down quite a bit, and it gave it a kind of eerie, sound and slowed down and extended, and it's of course breath, but it's slowed down to an inhuman rate, and also it's lower than it would have been, right, because of that. So it had an interesting sound, and I put a little reverb on. So that's kind of the backing for that. And then I just had the idea that I'll use that as backing for Only When I Try to Find You, because the original versions, although they have beats in them, I put beats in them, it's just like, I talked about this on January 31st, it's like this sound of this creaking that kind of pans between the speakers. And there is a drum, the first version has these kind of overlaid drums, the second version has this just very slow drum beat. And I'll present that here with lyrics. You can hear the arrangement with the African singers and the samples I used on that version. But I just thought that the stretched Suling flute would work for that. It just had this idea. So I slowed it down and I got, 10, 15 minutes of that. And I thought, well, let me just improvise the lyrics and see what happens. I filmed it. It's in the video. So I ended up using the video of myself walking. I may have slowed it down a bit. I don't remember. I think I might have for that video. And with effectors kind of overlaid it with the live footage video of me singing, recording in Logic and my mic. And that's literally me sitting here and recording it in Logic. And then I used the Logic recording with the Suling, and I arranged it with some other synths and beats at the very end, and so on. You can hear, and that became the new version. That became the first track that I ended up doing for the album. They said you were dead. They said that you'd fallen into a hole, into the ground. They said you were dead. They said you'd left this place for good, lost forever. Lost forever to me, and they said. As I said, the lyrics, it's very interesting. This gets a bit personal, but I'll just say a word or two about it, and the rest will be obvious if you listen carefully and read along with the lyrics. It's not a secret, and I've talked about this major breakup and shift in my life in 2020 after coming to Tokyo. And in 2017, when I recorded Only When I Tried to Find You, when I was recording the original Angel of Death LP, concept LP, in 2017, I was with that girlfriend in Fukuoka, and I believe she may even have been present when I recorded that. I'm not 100% about that. Either she was present or I played it for her like the next day. I think she may have been present and sleeping or something. And I recorded that, and that was also completely improvised in my room in Fukuoka, which is like now, I was doing the same thing. I was recording at home in Logic with my computer, and I remember that I improvised it. So that's why I'm going to present those lyrics. Of course, I had that in my mind because I'm doing a cover of my own song, or a response to, or a new version of, or whatever you want to call it. So when I sat down with the mic last month and the Suling in my ears, and I had this running to record it, I started with, they said you were dead. They said you'd fallen into a hole into the ground. That's how the other version started. I remembered that. And then from there, it goes off on a totally different tangent. And again, I won't say too much. If you listen to the lyrics, I think it becomes obvious what it's about. And it's interesting to think about the history and the connections between the two, for me anyway. And it's a very personal history, but I'm going to present the lyrics to both versions back to back, and the music and the lyrics with, again, some image. Again, I may be writing something and putting images. Maybe I'll do something else with this whole project. Okay, so that's only when I tried to find you. Let the lyrics speak for themselves. They're both improvised, other than the lyric being what was improvised was repeated at the beginning and the end this year, but the rest of it was, the middle section, the spoken section, was all improvised.
They said you'd fallen into a hole, into the ground. They said you were dead. They said waiting on the other side. Why did you leave me? 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 Why did you leave me here like this? I cannot crawl out of this mess. Not by myself. Not by
They said you were dead. They said that you'd fallen into a hole. Into the ground. They said you were dead. They said you'd left this place for good. Lost forever. Lost forever to me, and they said and so I waited for 7 long years. I waited here for your return. But you never came back. They said you were dead. They said that you were swallowed by the earth, that you fell into a hole the size of Alaska. But only when I try. Only when I tried to find you. Did I see? That you were no more than just a reflection of me. Oh, the memories of what we once were, what we could have been, but never was. But isn't that the way that life goes sometimes? Isn't that the way? I speak a language that I myself do not understand. For words cannot convey Just what I'm trying here to say. But only when I try to find you. Only when I try to find you. We were two of a kind, two lost souls, just trying to make our way through this hazy world. You remember that night you walked out onto the balcony and you threatened to jump off of it? Do you? You remember that night? My dearest Isa. And I went sort of in a panic, like running, chasing you because you tried to run away, and then I'm running after you across the street, 2 a.m. or something. You remember that? Maybe it meant nothing to you at the time. Maybe it means nothing to you now. But I remember. I remember so many things. And only when I tried to find you, to find me, to heal the wounds of the past, these wounds, they fester inside me even now. Remember the day I left? Do you remember what you said to me? You're so smart, yet so fucking stupid. That's what you said. As you held your can of 9% alcohol strong in one hand and trembled, and you pointed the finger and you said, "Get out now! I don't ever want to see your face again." Do you remember that? Did you mean it? Or was it just part of the game? All the games we played, you and I. You and I, you and I, you and I, what's become of us now? My angel of death. wearing your transparent dress. I could not resist you. I could not resist you. Have a drink. Make yourself comfortable. For 4 years, I made myself comfortable. Until the vice closed in too tightly and I had to get out. Leave now. I never want to see your face again. You're so fucking smart and so dumb. And we had such wishful beginnings. You and I, oh, you and I. There's no turning back now, baby. But only when I tried to find you. Could I see that you were just the same as me? Twin flames burning each other, tearing each other apart. Two moths circling around the candle flame for 4 years. I could not resist you. In a transparent dress. And now, and now, and now, and now, now there's nothing left, oh, nothing left. There's nothing left. Of me. The second one was a liar. I actually was surprised because I found the original file. I didn't think I had it anymore. So I found it. I was like, oh, I've got it. So then I kind of remixed it, and I actually put Suling flute in that, and I used sample from the talk on January 31st talking about Angel of Death and using some effectors on it to warp it around. So it's got the Suling flute at regular speed, and it's a little reverb, and those samples, and I remixed it with the original vocals. And all I did for the album versions, like I say, is I added 2 guitar improvs on the Telecaster, and I layered them and put effectors and left and right. You can hear this some kind of noise, crunchy things. That's actually Telecaster with effectorized in Logic. But I did use actually a distortion pedal on the Telecaster when I recorded it, and then I further effectorized it in different ways. And the one version preserves the drums and the piano that was in the original, right? Because I overlaid. And I also put the new vocal atop the old vocal. I thought it would be interesting to have past and present. So I'm duetting with my former self from 2017. I've done this before on occasion. The Ties That Bind, or The Ties That Bind Us, was a song I had written for my ex-girlfriend, and I had a previous version. I did 2 versions of that actually in 2022. One was the remix, if you will, and I duetted with myself. So it was that idea, but for a liar, which is just a fiction, you know, about, again, for me it connects with Dials in the Bathroom, which I didn't redo this year because that song I redid last year as This Dark Shroud. So anyway, those are the 2 versions. The second version, I took the drums out, I took the piano out, I kept the electric guitar in, I kept the new vocal in, but I took the old vocal out, and it's more stripped down. And it's also, so that version you could say is all this year's stuff. The first version is both. It's me duetting with my past self, the piano parts and all that. I guess the only thing that's left in the newer, the version 2 is the bass line I think I kept in from the earlier version, which is a very basic synth bass.
Tore off your steel, slept through the night, the alarm bell rang, woke up in fright, terrible
Who will win the election? Then Phantom I've talked about already. Basically, there's not much to say about it because I went into the studio with the intention of doing the drums. I did the 2 drum improvs, and then at the end of either improv, in my head was, Phantom. I think I used the second, and then during that session I recorded the Telecaster atop it, just in the earphones in Logic, and then brought that home, and about a week later added the vocals and cut that piece out and created a separate track for Phantom. I actually left that in the Ghost in the Matrix, but minus the vocals, because they weren't in the studio. I could add them back in, but I thought it would be interesting to kind of, reveal the process a little bit. The guitar's in, and there's some backing sounds in that, just like in the Phantom version, to keep it interesting, but in the process you can hear that the vocals were added later. So those are really the only 3 songs that I recorded for this, but yet it's a full length because, again, I added the title track, which is a kind of, I use this kind of fuzzy ambient backing, and that was also just improvised with, as I've mentioned, starting with Waiting. I was thinking I'm going to put in, bits of songs I didn't record. Waiting, Nothing, Transparent Dress, which there's a reference to that, and Only When I Tried to Find You. Again, that just came out of my mouth as I was singing it, just like Silhouettes and Shadows came out of my mouth when I was doing this track, Angels of Time, as part of the improv. And I think there should be a reference to almost every song. Dial in the Bathroom is referenced. Red Signals is referenced. Do You Trust That Shady Man? And, Wake Up You're Dead. And Come Into the Light at the very end, which is also the final track on Angel of Death. I think I even said Kimi ga Shindoru, which is You're Dead, which is 1, 2, 3. So there are references to almost everything. And then there are some other bits in there as well. And again, the video also is a kind of meta because it's using layers of the 2 videos I did for Phantom. Me thrashing around on the bed with my yukata in the shadows, silhouettes and shadows on the wall. And then also the video for Only When I Tried to Find You, which is me walking in the snow, but in that video it's in reverse. And I think I reversed in both, and I did all kinds of things with effects on that video.
Blue stones, red signals, blue skies, red signals, blue stones. I think I told you to turn the lights off. How can you always keep the lights on? Lights. No, the lights. Coming to the light.
Biologically, time is necessary.